What if the exhaustion you've been fighting for years isn't a mystery at all? What if somewhere in a Chinese kitchen 3,000 years ago, someone already solved it? Long before lab tests could measure a single blood cell, traditional Chinese medicine had already mapped which foods built blood and which foods drained it. They didn't have microscopes. They didn't need them. They had centuries of careful observation passed down through generations of healers, and at the center of that wisdom sat a small group of foods believed to restore vitality faster than almost anything else available. Modern nutritional science has now confirmed what those healers suspected all along. These foods are loaded with bioavailable iron, the exact mineral your red blood cells need to carry oxygen through your body. And today, I'm going to walk you through 11 of them. Stick around, because number 4 is a food so iron-dense that one small serving rivals what most people get from red meat. And number 9 was once reserved almost exclusively for Chinese empresses recovering from childbirth, because nothing else worked as fast. Number 1. Pork liver, the ancestral blood builder. For thousands of years, organ meats held a place of honor in Chinese cooking that Western diets abandoned generations ago. Pork liver specifically was given to new mothers after childbirth, to laborers recovering from injury, and to anyone showing the pale, exhausted signs of blood deficiency. The reason is straightforward. Liver contains some of the highest concentrations of heme iron found in any food on Earth, the form of iron your body absorbs most efficiently, far more efficiently than the iron found in plants. A single small serving can provide a substantial portion of an adult's daily iron requirement. Beyond iron, liver delivers vitamin B12, folate, and vitamin A, all nutrients directly involved in red blood cell production. This isn't one mineral working alone. It's an entire support system for blood health packed into a single ingredient. In Chinese home cooking, liver is typically stir-fried quickly with ginger and scallions to balance its rich flavor, or simmered into a restorative soup. Quick cooking preserves the nutrient density, while slow simmering makes the iron even more bioavailable by breaking down the tissue. There's a quiet wisdom in this. The body that built itself naturally turns to rebuild itself, organ feeding organ, blood feeding blood. Nothing about that is accidental. Number 2. Black sesame seeds, the hidden mineral vault. Black sesame seeds appear constantly in Chinese tonics, desserts, and porridges, and for centuries, they've carried a specific reputation. They nourish the blood and slow the visible signs of aging, particularly premature gray hair, which TCM directly links to blood and kidney deficiency. Gram for gram, black sesame seeds contain a surprising amount of iron, along with calcium, magnesium, and zinc. Because the seeds are so small and energy-dense, it's easy to consume a meaningful quantity without even noticing, especially when ground into paste or sprinkled generously over food. The seed coat contains lignans and antioxidants that researchers have studied for their role in reducing oxidative stress, which matters because oxidative damage can interfere with how efficiently the body produces and maintains healthy red blood cells. The traditional preparation involves toasting the seeds lightly to release their oil and aroma, then grinding them into a paste for black sesame soup, a dessert porridge served warm, often to people recovering from illness or childbirth. It's a small seed carrying an outsized message. Sometimes the most overlooked ingredient in the pantry is doing more work than anything on the shelf next to it. Number 3. Goji berries, the longevity fruit. Goji berries have a mythology in China that borders on legend. Stories describe entire villages near the Himalayan foothills where people regularly lived past 100, and locals credited the small red berries growing wild nearby. Whether or not the legend is exact, the nutritional profile backs up the reputation. Goji berries are rich in iron and, critically, extremely high in vitamin C, which dramatically increases how much iron your body actually absorbs from a meal. Pairing iron-rich foods with vitamin C is one of the most well-supported nutrition strategies for improving iron status, and goji berries do both jobs in a single ingredient. They're also loaded with beta-carotene and polysaccharides that researchers have studied for immune support, which matters because chronic inflammation and frequent illness can both interfere with healthy blood cell production. In Chinese cooking, dried goji berries are added to soups, teas, and rice congee, tossed in during the last few minutes of cooking to preserve their nutrients. A small handful steeped in hot water makes a simple daily tonic that requires no preparation at all. The fact that something this small carries this much function tells you everything about why traditional medicine valued it so highly. Number 4. Pork blood tofu, the forgotten power food. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning, and it deserves the build-up. Pork blood tofu, sometimes called blood curd, is a coagulated block made from pork blood, common in Chinese hot pot and street food culture, and almost completely unknown outside of it. Here's why it earns its place this high on the list. Animal blood is one of the single richest sources of heme iron available anywhere in the food supply. A modest serving of blood tofu can contain iron levels that rival or exceed a comparable serving of red meat, all while being extremely low in fat and calories. The texture is soft, almost custard-like, which is why it absorbs the flavor of whatever broth or sauce it's cooked in, making it a quiet, nutritional powerhouse, hiding inside a dish people are eating for completely different reasons. It's most commonly simmered directly in hot pot broth or stir-fried with chives and chili, and traditionally served to people recovering from blood loss, illness, or childbirth, exactly the populations who need rapid iron replenishment most. Most Western diners have never heard of it, and that's precisely the point of this list. The most effective foods are rarely the famous ones. Number 5. Dried black fungus, the blood circulator. Dried black fungus, also called wood ear mushroom, holds a unique dual reputation in Chinese medicine. It's prized both for replenishing blood and for improving circulation, two functions that work together rather than separately, since blood that isn't moving efficiently can't deliver oxygen no matter how rich it is. Nutritionally, dried black fungus is unusually high in iron for a mushroom, and because it's typically rehydrated and added to stir-fries or soups in fairly generous portions, the iron contribution per meal is meaningful, not symbolic. Research on related fungi has examined their effects on blood viscosity and platelet function, lending some modern support to the traditional claim that this ingredient helps blood move properly through the body, not just exist in sufficient quantity. The preparation is simple. The dried fungus is soaked in water until it expands and turns rubbery and translucent, then sliced thin and added to hot and sour soup, or stir-fried with vegetables and a touch of vinegar, which traditional cooks say helps activate its properties. It's a reminder that blood health was never just about quantity in this tradition. It was about flow, function, and balance, all three working as one system. Number 6. Red dates, or jujube, the daily blood tonic. If there's one ingredient that represents the everyday, non-negotiable foundation of Chinese blood-nourishing food culture, it's the red date, also called jujube. It appears in soups, teas, desserts, and tonics almost daily in many Chinese households, particularly for women, where it's considered essential, not optional. Red dates aren't as iron-dense as liver or blood tofu, but they contribute a steady, reliable amount of iron along with significant vitamin C, and they're consumed so consistently and in such volume across a typical diet that their cumulative contribution is substantial. What makes red dates particularly valued in TCM is their role in supporting the spleen, which in this medical framework is responsible for transforming food into blood and energy. A weak spleen, by this logic, means poor blood production regardless of how much iron you eat. Red dates were believed to strengthen that entire process, not just supply a single nutrient. The most common preparation is incredibly simple. A handful of dried red dates simmered in water or chicken broth for 20 minutes, often alongside goji berries or astragalus root, consumed as a daily tonic rather than an occasional remedy. This is what most Western wellness culture misses entirely. It's rarely one miracle food. It's the quiet, unglamorous consistency of the same nourishing ingredient every single day for years. Number 7. Beef and lamb bone marrow soup, the warrior's recovery broth. In Chinese culinary tradition, bone marrow soup occupies a special place reserved for serious recovery, postpartum healing, post-surgical recovery, severe fatigue, and depleted constitutions. This wasn't comfort food. It was considered medicine in liquid form. Bone marrow itself contains iron, along with collagen, fat-soluble vitamins, and minerals that leach into the broth during the long, slow simmering process that traditional preparation demands, sometimes 6 hours or more. The extended cooking time isn't about flavor alone. It's about extraction, pulling every available nutrient out of the bone and into the liquid the body can easily absorb. Modern research on bone broth has been mixed on some of its more dramatic claims, but the core nutritional contribution, particularly the iron and mineral content from marrow itself, holds up under scrutiny far better than most trend foods do. Traditional preparation involves roasting the bones first to deepen flavor, then simmering for hours with ginger and scallion, skimming the surface periodically until the broth turns rich and slightly gelatinous. It's then sipped on its own or used as a base for other recovery dishes. There's something almost primal about this one. Before supplements, before pills, the answer to depletion was always the same. Go back to the most concentrated, most foundational source available, and let time do the rest. Number 8. Spinach in Chinese garlic stir-fry, the everyday defense. Spinach isn't unique to Chinese cuisine, but the way it's traditionally prepared in Chinese cooking, quickly stir-fried with garlic and a touch of oil, does something most Western preparations miss entirely. It actually improves iron absorption rather than working against it. Spinach contains non-heme iron, the plant-based form that the body absorbs far less efficiently than heme iron from animal sources. But spinach also contains vitamin C, and the quick high-heat stir-fry method preserves more of that vitamin C than boiling does, which means more of the iron in the dish actually gets absorbed. The garlic isn't just flavor either. Some research suggests compounds in garlic may support healthy circulation and have mild effects on inflammation, both relevant to how efficiently the body uses the iron it has. The traditional method takes less than 2 minutes. Garlic hits hot oil first, spinach goes in next, tossed constantly until just wilted, removed from heat before it overcooks and loses nutrients. Speed is the entire technique. This one's a quiet lesson in itself. Sometimes the food isn't the secret, the method is. Number 9. Sesame oil chicken with ginger, the postpartum ritual. This dish carries weight in Chinese culture that few Western foods carry anywhere. For generations, sesame oil ginger chicken has been the standard recovery meal given to new mothers in the weeks following childbirth, a period when blood loss leaves the body in genuine need of rapid replenishment. The dish combines chicken, which provides moderate heme iron and high-quality protein for rebuilding tissue, with ginger, traditionally believed to warm the body and stimulate circulation, and sesame oil, which contributes its own modest iron content along with healthy fats that support nutrient absorption. The protein content matters more than people realize. Hemoglobin, the molecule that actually carries oxygen in red blood cells, is partly protein. You can't rebuild blood with iron alone if the body doesn't have adequate protein to construct the hemoglobin molecule itself. Traditional preparation involves browning chicken pieces and fresh ginger slices in sesame oil until deeply aromatic, then simmering slowly in rice wine and water until the chicken is tender and the broth has reduced into something rich and warming. The fact that an entire culture independently arrived at iron plus protein plus circulation support as the ideal recovery formula, centuries before hemoglobin was even discovered, says something profound about the power of careful observation passed down through generations. Number 10. Black beans, the quiet staple. Black beans hold a steady, unglamorous place in Chinese cooking and traditional nutrition, valued for supporting what TCM calls kidney essence, closely tied to vitality, reproductive health, and, by extension, blood quality. Nutritionally, black beans provide a meaningful amount of non-heme iron along with substantial fiber, folate, and magnesium. Folate, in particular, plays a direct role in red blood cell formation, working alongside iron and B12 rather than separately from it, which means a food that's rich in folate supports the entire blood production process, not just one ingredient in it. Because black beans are a legume, they also contain compounds called phytates that can slightly inhibit iron absorption, something traditional preparation methods, like long soaking and slow cooking, actually help reduce, breaking down those compounds before the beans are eaten. They're typically soaked overnight, then simmered slowly, sometimes with a piece of dried tangerine peel or a few red dates added to the pot, until they turn soft and slightly sweet, served as a side dish or simmered into a warming dessert soup. There's nothing flashy about this one, and that might be exactly the point. Consistency, not intensity, is often what actually rebuilds a depleted body over time. Number 11. Astragalus Root, the master tonic herb. And here we are, at the herb traditional Chinese medicine considers one of the single most important tonics for building both blood and overall vitality. Astragalus root, known in Chinese as huang qi. Astragalus isn't eaten as a food in the conventional sense. It's a tough, fibrous root, usually sliced into thin strips and simmered for hours in soups and broths, where it slowly releases its compounds into the liquid, while the root itself is typically removed before eating, having done its work. Modern research on astragalus has focused heavily on its polysaccharides and saponins, compounds studied for their potential effects on immune function and overall energy metabolism, while astragalus itself isn't a major direct source of dietary iron. TCM has never treated it as an iron source. It's treated as something that supports the body's overall capacity to produce healthy blood, working as a foundation underneath the iron-rich foods on this entire list, rather than competing with them. This is the piece most modern wellness content misses entirely when it tries to reduce blood health down to a single mineral. Traditional Chinese medicine never separated nutrients from the body's broader systems. Astragalus represents that whole system thinking: support the body's underlying capacity to build blood, and then feed it the raw materials, iron, protein, vitamin C, folate, to do the job. It's simmered into chicken soup, added to herbal tonics alongside red dates and goji berries, or brewed on its own as a daily tea, quietly working in the background of nearly every other recipe on this list. That's a fitting place to end, not with the flashiest ingredient, but with the one that ties every other ingredient on this list together into a single, coherent system, exactly the way it was designed to work all along. If you made it this far, you now understand something most people never stop to consider. The exhaustion epidemic so many people quietly live with isn't always a mystery requiring a prescription. Sometimes it's sitting in a kitchen, in foods a culture has trusted for thousands of years, foods that modern science is only now explaining, rather than discovering. These 11 ingredients aren't trendy superfoods manufactured by a supplement company. They're survival wisdom, refined generation after generation, validated today by the same blood tests and clinical research that once had no language for what traditional healers already understood by observation alone. You don't need all 11 at once. Start with 1. Add red dates to your tea. Stir-fry your spinach with garlic instead of boiling it. Notice what changes. If this gave you a new way to think about food as medicine, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who need to hear it. Drop a comment and tell me which one surprised you most. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because we're just getting started uncovering the wisdom that's been hiding in plain sight all along.